Breaking news! A new episode of Let's Be Frank starting now!
Hello all! Welcome back to another Tales from Japan, where this time I'm going to be talking about Universal Studios Japan. Now in the past, I already talked about my experience at Tokyo Disneyland, but this time we're focusing on a different theme park altogether. I love the Universal Studios we have here in America. Some days I even like it more than Disney World, but that's a whole other story for another day. But being in Universal Studios Japan versus Universal Studios Florida, it felt like I was in an alternate universe where Universal proper and Islands of Adventure, the two parks we have here in Florida, were mashed together, like they were mixed. Because there was only the one park in Japan. So getting to go there was totally unique and an experience all its own. Now, I'm not going to talk on every little thing I did while in the park. That would take way too long, and I like these videos to be short and sweet. I don't plan on keeping you guys here for more than 10 minutes, and that's even a stretch. I don't imagine we'll make it that far either. But I do want to tell you guys about some of my favorite rides and the more unique experiences I had at this park versus the ones I've had in Florida. So with that being said, let's go ahead and start at the front gate. By the way, City Walk is pretty nice here. I wish Katrina and I had more time to explore it, but unfortunately I didn't get to see much of it, so I'm not going to talk about much of it. With that being said though, this Universal is incredible. The first thing I noticed, Pokemon. There are Pokemon everywhere. Unfortunately, no Pokemon rides, but there was a Pokemon restaurant. There were Pokemon shows where you could see. We specifically were there at Halloween time, right? So there was like this spooky Halloween show going on with all these different ghost Pokemon. Oh my gosh, you guys. I was literally in heaven. I just had to pick up a pair of these Pikachu ears. Hey, these blow Mickey ears out of the water, okay? I am so glad Universal Studios Florida is finally starting to adopt headwear because we need more of this. But that's enough about Pokemon. I plan on doing a whole Tales from Japan about the Pokemon centers I visited while in Japan anyway, so let's move on to something else. Coming into the park initially, you're going to see this big covered area with a bunch of shops. It's shaded, it's nice. There were people selling popcorn and everything. And then you see it. A 4D anime ride. Specifically, one themed to Jujutsu Kaisen, one of my wife and I's favorite anime. But it's not always Jujutsu Kaisen. I'm almost positive every year they swap out the anime. Like, I'm pretty sure it's been Demon Slayer in the past. I'm sure Attack on Titan took up roots there at some point. Guys, this was so cool, and one of the things Katrina and I were looking forward to the most. Now, the ride itself is most similar to, if you've ridden it before, the Despicable Me ride. You know, it's a giant theater where you're sitting in chairs that move. It was a very fun ride, and I'm glad we did it. And that's not all the Jujutsu Kaisen we got at this park. No, there was also this restaurant, this cool pop-up restaurant for Jujutsu Kaisen. I don't know if it's just there for the year or so that the ride's there. But anyway, guys, it was a really cool experience. It was themed wonderfully. We got to meet Satoru Gojo himself before sitting down in this, again, really well-themed, really pretty dining area where we got to eat a lot of foods themed to the show. And you know what? It was all delicious. Everything from the sweets to all the different types of fish and noodles and rice we got. Was it like an all-you-can-eat buffet's worth of food? No, it wasn't supposed to get you like sloshingly full or anything, but it was delicious. It was very enjoyable, and I would love to go back and eat a different anime's themed food in the future. Highly recommend doing this. But moving on, we did ride a lot of the rides that we have here over there as well. Well, not a lot. I know there are definitely a few that we skipped just because we knew they'd be identical, but I just had to ride the Spider-Man ride in full Japanese. Guys, that was hilarious. I enjoyed it so much. I knew everything they were saying, word for word, and I didn't even have subtitles or understand the language. It was so thoroughly enjoyable. You've got to experience this.
なぜここに来たんだ。僕とも博士が暴れてる。何が起こるかわからないんです。とにかく気をつけてくれ。いいサングラスだね。
I would say one of the most surreal parts of the trip was definitely stepping into Hogsmeade. The Harry Potter area is identical to the one we have in Florida, and so it was so weird just suddenly being teleported to somewhere I am completely familiar. Like, there's no other way to explain it. Everything was the same. It was just as cool as it is here in America, and that's why I'm not going to focus on it for very long. But they did have something there that we did not yet have in America, at least Florida. I'm talking about Minions Land. Yay! We have one in Universal Florida now, but we didn't at the time I went to Japan, and I have not been back to Universal Studios Florida since they've put the Minion Land in. So this is my only experience to the land, and you know what? Sure was colorful. But I think I've held off long enough talking about Super Nintendo World. I know I really want to. I know y'all want to hear my opinion of it. So let's go ahead and start talking about it. Super Nintendo World, baby. This is what I was looking forward to the most. Katrina and I had to buy like a separate ticket just to get into Super Nintendo World. I can't remember if we had to buy it or not, but we definitely had to get like a second ticket basically to secure entry inside, and boy was it worth it. It was everything I'd hoped it would be. I'd heard people say in the past that they think it's a little cramped, so there's not a lot of space, and you know what, that might be true, but it looks like you were put inside the video game. I loved it. I loved the architecture. I loved the, Mario and Luigi just walking around in the, in their designated zones. The moving piranha plants and Goombas and Thwomps. It was everything I could have hoped for and more. All right, let's talk rides. First and foremost, the Mario Kart ride. Was it good? Yes. Was it perfect? No. For those of you who don't know, I'm not going to go super in depth right now, but this new Mario Kart ride uses AR technology. Basically, you put this visor over your face and you get to see Mario, Luigi, and all the other characters racing against you. But it can be a little wonky, and I'm going to be honest, of course it doesn't look like they're all actually there with you. But taking that aside, and I know the AR is supposed to be the main big part of this ride, but if you just look at the set design of everything, all the moving parts inside that has nothing to do with the AR, all the design work, it looks amazing. And I love racing around those environments, even if you can't really call it racing because you're on a fixed track. Actually, I don't know if you're on a fixed track. I didn't pay much attention to that part. I was too busy looking at everything else. Guys, I just liked it. I can't tell you why. I know there were some people that were disappointed with it. I just really enjoyed it, from the line itself that was themed, chef's kiss, excellently, to just getting to race through these tracks, even if it wasn't very fast. I just had such a good time, and it might have just been the fact that it was my first time there. I was already on cloud 9, but once I ride the ride a few more times in America, whenever I do get the chance to do that, I'll make sure to reevaluate my opinions on it as a whole. I don't have many pictures from the Yoshi ride, but I enjoyed it. It was very cute. It's definitely a super simple ride, but that is all it needs to be in my opinion. And Japan's Donkey Kong Country section was not open yet, but I did get to eat some of the food from Super Nintendo World, and I enjoyed it well enough. I thought it was pretty decent food. But everybody, that's about all I have to say for this video. If you enjoyed this video, why don't you leave me a like and subscribe if you have not already. Follow my Instagram and Facebook at Let's Be Frank 2020, and follow my TikTok at Let's Be Frank TikTok. Oh, and hey, if you like podcasts, I have one of those too. Joachim and I make a Pokemon podcast that I guarantee you are going to love. It's available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and, of course, right here on YouTube. So once again, make sure you subscribe so you do not miss a thing. With all that being said, once again, thank you so very much for watching, and until next time.